So much for staying with us. You're watching TV47 Weekend Edition. Let's continue with our coverage. Now, she's serving her second term as the governor of Kirinyaga County, and Mombi Waiguru, ahead of the nomination of Professor Kithure Kindiki as the country's third deputy president. Waiguru's name was prominent. TV47's George Maringa had a chat with Waiguru in this interview as she reflects back on 2024.
Indeed, as the year comes to a close, we are delighted to have a conversation with the Governor of County 020, that is Anne Waiguru. Thank you so much for joining us on the program, Madam Governor.
Thank you for having me.
And it is your second term, mid your second term, and it has been a tumultuous journey when you look at how things have panned out from the start of the term to this second one. I'd like you to look at 2024 in the context of the two terms, how the previous years have been ending for you, and what has perhaps been the different, both on the high side and on the low side for 2024 for you.
I think at the county level, 2024 has been an okay year, right? Nationally, it's been a tougher year, but at the county level, it's been an okay year. On the lower side, one of our lowest moments in Kirinyaga is when we lost our 17 people because of illicit brew. And many people lost their eyesight, and that was a challenging time for us as a county. But on the upper side, in Kirinyaga, we have made strides in our development agenda. We are focusing on work, the work speaking for itself. We have gotten fully operational our level 5 hospital. We've increased our medical human resource. We have built our 20 health centers, and about to open about 4 more from the 14 already opened. And we are upgrading our level 3 hospitals in Kenyaga and Kimbimbi and Sagana. And we're generally improving the service when it comes to healthcare to our people. In infrastructure development, we have continued to upgrade our towns. In addition to what we've done in putting Kabro in Kagio and Waiguru and Kenyaga and Kirowea, we added now Kagumo and Sagana. And we can say confidently that our towns look much better. We're building our fire station that hasn't been there, a modern fire station, and equipping it with new engines to be able to respond quickly to adversity caused by fire outbreaks. In terms of our Wezesha agriculture program, we have improved productivity of our farmers, whether it is rice. We used to do 1 season, we're doing 2 seasons. Their incomes have increased. We're ensuring that they're selling their rice and they're getting paid. We have improved our fortunes for our coffee farmers and our tea farmers in Kirinyaga. We have expanded incomes for our farmers with dairy production and avocado growing, tomato value chain as well, set up propagation centers. And I don't even know whether you know that we have increased our production of fish with our fish ponds from about 2 tons to 7 tons, and opened a special market in Kirinyaga for fish only. We have a fish market in Kirinyaga, and people are beginning to consume and diversify their diets. And this is informed even from our health side, because we had seen a trend where we were getting an increase in lifestyle diseases. And we are getting, I think, we were beginning to go up. I think we're leading in obesity. And so we started diversifying produce and changing menus. And we are eating a lot more fish in Kirinyaga. That also is an added income to many of our farmers. So in terms of The development agenda in Kirinyaga, work is continuing. Infrastructure development, we have marramed over 1,000 kilometers of road. And we continue to improve service delivery in Kirinyaga. So on the positive side, work has continued. Markets, we have built 18 with our county money, with the latest one being Ria Kenya, India, which will be opening in January. And we are hoping that we will continue with a partnership with the national government to increase the number to about 28. So service delivery has been also good. We've had some challenges, of course, resources not being as we expected, but we have worked well with the county assembly, negotiating on the allocation and prioritization of our resources, to the extent, of course, you saw the control of budget saying that we are leading in terms of allocation with regards to development, and we are hoping to maintain that for the rest of the year.
There are lessons, I'm sure, that have come within your tenure as governor. Starting from the time you were at Treasury, you transited to Cabinet, now the CEO of a whole county. And that perhaps put you, without doubt, in a collision course with your fellow leaders, perhaps even from your agenda as well. Looking at the lessons that have come along the way as a trailblazer in this leadership position, what is that one thing or things that perhaps have informed or lessons that you've picked up along the way, even as your colleagues, female leaders, continue to have different opinions about leadership in this country?
I think what lesson we should learn is that leaders can be women, women can be leaders, and can be good leaders just like men can be, And I'm hoping that with my position as governor of Kirinyaga, with my performance at the county level, my performance as the chair of Council of Governors for 2 terms, that I am influencing the changes in the mindsets of Kenyans, that women can lead and can lead well. And now we have 7 women governors. And 7 women governors we hope to increase to 24 in the next election cycle. And we hope that by the 7 who are there, and that's why we came up with the G7 strategy, showcasing what they've done, will encourage other counties to give women the opportunity to lead and to make a difference. So I am hoping that that is what the influence of our women leadership has done with the transition. And the same also at cabinet level, and also at PS level, across the public service, and also in the private sector, that women will be given more opportunities because they show that they can actually deliver.
Governor, you served, of course, as COG chair for 2 terms, and there has been, of course, the biggest issue is there still isn't a very thin line on matters, separation of roles and powers between national and county governments. And as COG chair, did you observe or did you feel that perhaps devolution was, introduced too early? Or is it that there is a misunderstanding? Is it deliberate efforts to ensure that funds do not flow as is expected? Or is it the lack of goodwill? What exactly makes the cogs stall, as it were?
First of all, I don't think it has stalled. I think we've made progress from 2013 to now. I think we could have done better, but I think we've made progress. One of the challenges that we have had is that of resources. And I think one of our biggest challenges is a lack of understanding of what devolution was meant to do. And the issue of separation of powers between the legislature and the devolved functions or the executive. And the conflict therefore coming when you have to navigate between functions that should be carried out at the county level and the national level. The other challenge is a lack of understanding by certain individuals on what it means to devolve functions, clinging by some national departments to certain functions that should actually be given to county governments fully. Healthcare, for example, agriculture. Other than the functions that are listed as cross-cutting, such as matters to do with vaccination. I think the functions in terms of service delivery should be done fully at county level. And that lack of understanding, therefore, sometimes brings conflict between the county governments and the national government. But I believe that we've made strides. I think if we continue moving, continue pushing, we'll eventually get there. Leaders need to understand that you run for certain offices to execute certain mandates. And so if you're in the executive, you execute as an executive. If you're in the legislature, you execute as a legislator. And I think if we continue to stay focused on what the Constitution intended, I think we wouldn't have as many conflicts as we have sometimes.
Do you think that lack of understanding also draws to the fights between the legislative arms and the executive arms of counties? You having gone through the impeachment processes and seeing your colleagues as well, having gone through the impeachment process, do you think there is a misunderstanding as well about how to execute or participate in that constitutional process?
Well, I wouldn't say that that is what brings generally the conflict at the county level. Okay. I think a lot of the conflicts at the county level are political and not necessarily have to do with service delivery. And it's just sometimes just managing the political environment that we operate in.
Okay. And then what would... Because Kenyans have seen you with the executive, the national government, and the issue of resources seems to be deviated and left to, more formal or more, if you could call it, structured conversations. Is it very difficult for counties to advocate for national government to ensure that the disbursements are made in time?
Yeah, I think we have had this conversation so many times, but I think the national government and the national treasury faces its own challenges. They disburse money because based on the resources that they have, and they have to prioritize. Sometimes you have teachers' salaries, I guess, and you have civil service salaries, and then there's county money as well. But the Constitution was very clear that county money should be given at a certain time, and it has not been possible to consistently maintain those timelines. They've tried right now because we've now gotten money up to November, which is really an improvement, despite the fact that there were delays in the beginning, of the financial year. So I think it is not something that you can resolve with a panacea. I think it is a continuous process of working towards, and as soon as the country is in a place where it's financially stable, in the sense that we are collecting enough revenue on time, we expect that those resolutions will be a little bit more faster and we'll have less complaints from the counties in terms of delayed disbursements.
Okay. And the on-source revenue is, of course, a conversation that Kenyans have argued. There are counties that are able to get, to collect more. If you could give us a perspective of Kirinyaga, perhaps, what would be the visions of, as you exit 2024 to 2025, to ensure that you continue meeting the targets, and those that are maybe flopping, so that then when you collect, you're then not told, if possible, you have to wait for the shareable ones. If that conversation can be, Kirinyaga has collected this, let us be able to manage and do what we need to do with this amount.
I think that's a very simplistic reasoning.
Is that so?
It was never intended that counties should be funded by their own source revenue. That was never the intention. It was not in the Constitution, because if it was, then we should be collecting payee. But the payee of my staff goes to national government. There is tax that is collected at the county level that goes to national government. So it's a very simplistic reasoning for people to say that counties should collect enough money to run the counties. If that was so, we would be fully autonomous, like the United States, for example, where we collect taxes. All the taxes that are collected in Kirinyaga are put in one kitty for Kirinyaga, but that's not what happens. Housing levy is collected and goes national. Pay as you earn is collected and goes national. And the national taxes that are collected at county level go to national level. That is why we get equitable share. And I think the problem with us is sometimes we get very lazy in analyzing, and maybe that's why sometimes we don't respond all the time. And people just say that counties should collect enough revenue to run their county affairs. That was never envisioned by our structure of devolution. Our devolution system is not fully autonomous. It's a hybrid residential system, and the functions that are carried by the counties are not all the counties. For example, security is not fully devolved, Police are not devolved, but they operate at county level. And so it's the system that we have, which is a hybrid, that requires that the national government, when it collects, allocates certain resources for certain functions to county government, because they collect across the country. Otherwise, then we would be a fully autonomous, like other countries, where you say a state is completely independent, collects all the revenue, and then they can run everything at the county level. So that wasn't envisioned by our constitution and was never really intended to be the system. So the on-source revenue has a limit. We only collect market fees and collect some parking fees, so we don't collect every tax, and therefore that is not sufficient money to run a county and provide service delivery at the county level.
Yeah, I brought that argument because of the issue of the delayed funding, so that the resource allocation, so that what would be, in your perspective, having served as COG chair as well, what would be the ideal situation to try and resolve? I know you've mentioned about the latest disbursement being of November, which is last month, but what would be the ideal, perfect or seamless way of running counties that would then make CEOs of counties like yourself say, well, we are at a place that we can say we are able to pay salaries and also achieve development?
I think in terms of first, the amount of money that is allocated. Yeah, we costed that at roughly 425, but because of the situation we found ourselves in, the national government said they're not going to be able to collect enough money. We went down to 400, and now we've been allocated equitable share of 387. That's still a shortfall. So therefore, that will make service delivery not be ideal. Okay? So, and then there's no country, I think, that has an ideal. There is no country that collects enough revenue to completely meet their needs, or even county. And I wouldn't expect that at a county level. Okay. So you work every year with that which you have, within the financial constraints that you have. And the only thing that we can do to make service delivery more seamless is to ensure that the disbursement to counties are done on time, which is expected by the Constitution and the law by 15th of the following month latest. If that would happen, service delivery will be a little bit more timely. Okay. Will it meet all our needs? No, because the resources will never really be enough. Yeah.
National politics, and as you can see in our country, it is very dynamic, as it were, especially since this current dispensation came in. And a lot has been happening. From where you sit, you've been really silent, and you've said you've been observing. Are you being very cautious?
No, I'm not being cautious. I think it's my personality. I don't jump at every issue to comment. I think there is a time for silence. There's a time to listen. And there's a time when you have nothing meaningful to add, not to add anything. Also, I'm guided by the good book. It says in a multitude of words, sin is not lacking. Sometimes it is wisdom to be silent and to listen a lot more and focus on that which needs to be done. So we've watched where we are politically. It is not, from what we hear, what Kenyans are saying, they don't want politics, they want service delivery. And for you to focus on service delivery, you have to be busy doing that which you were elected to do.
Yeah, you were among the very first, I think, to congratulate the current DP. And perhaps had things gone otherwise, this conversation would be having with you as Deputy President. How did that process, when you saw that flaunting, both external and internal factors, what was going on through your mind when names were being flaunted, even from early on in 2022 and even now? What was going through your mind when you looked at how the conversation on the third Deputy President was going?
Well, let me say it's a great honor to be considered. It's a great honor for people to discuss you as a possibility. It's an honor. And I don't take that for granted from the Kenyan people. I think they see the potential confidence. There is no one single person who fits any position, you know. Most of the time we hold these positions as first amongst equals, you know. Whether it was me as chair of COG, I was first amongst equals. The current DP is the first amongst equals, you know. There could have been other people who would do that, but right now you've been given the privilege to serve. And I respect that. And so what goes on in my mind is if it's the will of God, it would happen, you know. I have work to do. I had work to do. I still have work to do for Kirinyaga people, which is what I am focused on right now. And then in future, we see where we go.
Would you ever consider taking up, going back into cabinet, into whichever role?
Not now.
Okay.
Certainly not now. Right now, I have work to do for Kirinyaga people. Until 2027, I have to finish right now what I need to do for Kirinyaga people. Yeah.
Some quarters would have argued, and we saw that, of course, I'm sure you saw on social media, that there was, an expectation from your side to either DP or a CS position. Was that in your plans or visions?
Never.
Okay.
There was never an expectation for CS. Never, ever.
And DP as well?
DP was a consideration from many people.
Okay.
So, no, I am very focused right now as governor of Kirinyaga County. And the issue of the DP passed, you know. And right now, until 2027, my focus is Kirinyaga County.
The issue of femicides has come up. The 16 days of activism against gender-based violence ended recently. And I'm curious to pick your mind about even how we're seeing the law enforcement specifically dealing with such issues, from responding to those who are protesting about those issues to dealing and mitigating with that. Do you think there is an awareness from both Kenyans, the citizenry, and law enforcement about how to deal with such a situation?
I think what they need is a lot more capacity building. I think we need to set up special units that deal with this matter, that have specially trained people who can handle this delicate issue of gender-based violence and the unfortunate situation of femicide. It's a very sensitive area that requires unique skills and also a sensitivity to our changing environment. But more than that, as a society, I think we need to address the root cause of what that is. You know, why are we having this problem? And how can we ensure that we actually don't get there? Where are our numbers going up instead of going down? And address it from a prevention point of view, as opposed to waiting until the issue happens and then we are dealing with the post.
As we wrap up the year, what would be your highlight as you take the break from perhaps official duties, and what will you be spending your time with during these festivities?
I am looking forward to a great time with family and friends, especially our children who don't live at home, and brothers and sisters and our parents, and friends who we haven't seen. So it will be a good break during this season, catch up, find out where people are at, and relax and rest. And I'm looking forward to some more frequent rounds of golf. I haven't played in like 2 months, so I would really looking forward to that.
Your fellow leaders have been releasing memoirs. Would you be expecting any from you at whatever point?
Yes, certainly. Yeah, there will be. That's for sure.
That's for sure. Perhaps you can, speak to the people of Kirinyaga and Kenyans at large and give them your Christmas message.
To the people of Kirinyaga and to the Kenyan people at large, I would like to take this opportunity to wish you a very Merry Christmas and a happy and prosperous 2025. We are hoping for a better year next year. Let's keep our optimism and let's keep our faith in God. Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year.
Indeed. Thank you so much, Waiguru, Governor for Kirinyaga County, for speaking to us, and we wish you happy holidays.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much. I'm George Maringa. Bye-bye for now.